Morena, and welcome to the Punters Lounge for this Saturday on TAB Trackside 1, brought to you by Valachi Downs. What a show we have, because what a day of racing we have for you. 10 races from Hastings on Bayford Punter of the Year Day, Livermore Stakes Day, 10 races from Riccarton Park in Christchurch, and then we get to see Winx aim up for her 28th win in a row at Flemington, and it's Spring Champion Stakes Day there in Sydney as well. We'll have all the right people bringing you all the right information throughout the next 2 hours. We'll also introduce live racing from Riccarton, so don't go too far. Stephen Hunt is in Petone, bookmaker, to give us the latest money moves. Hi Stephen, what can you tell us about the two meetings and any key moves thus far?
There's a couple of targeted for early bird shoppers this morning that have got with us at 10 a.m. this morning, Jason. And race one, Amazing As. A decent lead here, the fact that the stable do have Los Angeles, who's currently sitting in that third line of betting, but all the action has been on Amazing As, who has done the job on its local track at Ruakaka and its couple of previous starts leading into this, but a real promising stayer who did the job for the punters last start over 2,100 metres. So, yeah, early bird shoppers, get on Amazing As, and they can fill your account come race one today at Hastings. Down at Riccarton, race 7, Son of Mahir, key lead up for possibly the Copeland's Mile. Son of Mahir opened at $4.50, Jason. It's now to $3.50, and again, looks to be a massive day for the Pitman stable.
Yeah, that's a very big move. Obviously, Tiako have a very big team at Riccarton. You've got the likes of All Press, Calder, Bayliss down there. Any other moves at Riccarton? I know our focus will be on Hastings over the next hour particularly, but any other moves for runners there?
Not at this stage, Jason. Look, we'll touch on the 3-year-old race. There's a couple of key horses, the fillies and the boys, targeting that race for maybe the 1,000, 2,000 guineas. But like you say, a lot of the action is at Hawke's Bay. We'll touch on the quaddie at the back end of the Punters Lounge this morning around Riccarton, and hopefully I can give some leads between now and then.
Okay, good stuff. So Amazing As the early lead at Hastings, and Son of Mahir the early lead at Riccarton. Will be with Stephen Hunt throughout the program. This is what else you can see coming up on the Punters Lounge this morning. Catch up with Andrew Forsman. He's got a massive team across New Zealand and Australia, primarily at Hastings, and we get to see Jon Snow. How about Dance? Michelle Bradley will talk to us about the star filly from Ruakaka. We get to see Winx. Will it be 28? Ben Ascari will present his best selections, and then we will go to Brad Gray, who will give us all the latest from what's ahead really at Royal Randwick. And the main focus, of course it will be, Livermore Stakes Day, Group 1 level, our preview with Brendan Popwell and Bevan Sweeney, who are at Hastings. Aidan Rodley's there with Emily Bosson and Tony Lee. An outstanding day ahead of us with regards to the Punters Lounge Live and setting you up for the day ahead. Okay, let's get what's happening among the main chances with Andrew Forsman and the Baker Forsman team.
Shut the gate, the Herbie Dyke is all over, running on Wildflower with Nicoletta and Rangipo, but Lizzie Lamore absolutely dominant in the end. Saint a Million in front for Lee Thaddeus, and he stole that. Saint a Million wins the Bone Crushers.
Jon Snow in front, Jon Snow from Harper's Choices game. Jon Snow, another New Zealand victory in the Derby.
But Shut the Gate, they won't get Love Affair. Love Affair is going to race away to win it.
Mongolian Marshall's trying to round them up. He's coming now, the showy bloke, ranging up to them, and he'll win. Mongolian Marshall.
Arrow Hatter's going for 3 in a row, and at the line, got it.
Madison County is settling down to come out and after it. The money's bang on here, and Madison County will win.
It's an exciting time of the year, and for the super stable of Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman, it's a very busy time of the year. Andrew joins us from Australia right now. Andrew, you're at Flemington, I understand, or about to be?
Yep, just been at the track this morning. We're all done, so everything's in order for a big day.
Okay, looking forward to chatting about the runners you have there. But firstly, the three runners that the team have presented for the Livermore Classic. You've got Senamillion and Tomalila, who come out of a run at Pukeko with Tomalila winning it. Senamillion's at 23 with bookmakers, Tomalila at 23. Out of those two, how do they present and what do you see of their chances?
I think obviously Saint Emilion's the one much better off-suited back to weight for age, and his style of racing should suit as well. He can jump, roll up on the speed, and 2,000 metres suits on an improving track. So, yeah, I think I'm surprised they're probably even in the market, to be fair. I think Tomalila's got to step up to weight for age and run over a middle distance for effectively the first time. So, yeah, she's probably the one with a lot of questions to answer.
Just seeing Tomalila, she was very strong at Pukeko. That must have given you a lot of encouragement.
Yeah, she's in great form. It was a very good win. She did get a gun run that day and presented well, and she was weighted to win that race. But yeah, when Mares are in racing in such good form like she is, it's certainly worth having a crack at races like this.
What are you expecting to see from Lizzie Lamore today? What did you make of her middle day run? What do you expect to see?
A little bit disappointing. Obviously, we would have expected her to do a little bit more, but she was sort of first up coming off a bit of a short run. She will have improved a lot off the back of that race, but she'll need to step up. But she has drawn nicely. She should be able to put herself right there, and yeah, any give in the track is certainly what she's probably looking for. And if she does get conditions to suit on the day, we know she's certainly good enough to win.
Look, you're a great tactician, and the stable as a general rule err on the side of being positive with runners. What sort of shape will this race take, and how influential will Senamillion and Lizzie Lamore be to shaping that race in your mind?
I think Saint Emilion is always influential. He's a sort of the pace in the race often. I guess with Big Mike in there, that might change things a little bit. But Saint Emilion, as he's sort of raced more tyre level, he has become a bit more adaptable. I think he can take a sit. He doesn't have to lead all the time now. He was sort of even second or third, just rolling along on a steady pace would suit also. So I think Lizzie will be there. She'll be thereabouts. You'd like to think she'll be fourth or fifth on the rail doing no work, and I think they'll be strung out, probably coming to the turn. There'll be a bit of pressure on, and that'll suit her. That'll open the field up and give her a crack. You know, she's a natural staying sort of mare anyway. So just second up is the query. You know, would it be nice if she'd had one more run leading into it?
Of the three, they're all at big prices. We're not really used to seeing that, but would you suggest one way or the other amongst the three? Is there a runner that you'd lean towards?
Look, Lizzie on her day can beat any field in New Zealand. Saint Emilion, I think, probably the one that the race is going to suit. I think at weight for age, at things is sort of his go. And, you know, if the track does improve and become firmish, I think that's probably going to suit him better than the other two.
Okay, now one of the glamour horses on the program is Love Affair. You pulled her out of last week to set her for the red badge and a fresh date. So this 1,400 metre race is a race that we're expecting to see great things from her. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I guess the same. We're happy with it and where she's at. We sort of avoided last week with the big weight. She's much better off at the weight this week. And yeah, just I guess from the barrier 7, if she can just slot in one off somewhere, and they should run it at a genuine sort of tempo, then like to see her get every chance to wind up and hit the line. But you're really happy with her heading into the race, and if she runs up to her best form, I think she's the horse to beat.
I know Matthew Cameron will have his instructions. We're just seeing Love Affair and a trial that took place on the 13th of September, where she was a pretty nice and hard-held fourth. We assume that she's come on from that. But tactically, what are you thinking with a horse like Tiako Shark, who has an excellent turn of foot in his own right, and some sort of horses that have been there and done that could be in front of you? Where would you like to see her in an ideal world position during the running, Love Affair?
Yeah, an ideal world, I guess, should be sort of 5th or 6th, one off the fence on strong speed. That would be perfect. Whether that pans out or not, well, that's just in the lap of the gods now, and up to the jockeys and how it all happens when they jump out of the gate. So, yeah, that would be the ideal spot for her. You shouldn't want to be too far off. Hastings is not a track you want to give them too big a start, but especially in this quality of race. But, yeah, that we would want to ideally.
We've seen some breathtaking runs from her, and we've just seen the closing stages of her put away Volpe Veloce at Te Rapa. How close to that level will she present today at Hastings?
Oh, she's pretty well near it, I think. She's on her day she's very good. She's a very exciting horse, and hopefully she produces something like that today.
I think we're going to have some camps that are split there with Te Ako Shark and Love Affair, and also other people that will be going outside of them, but it's a mouth-watering race, the Red Badge Sprint. Race number 5 is the Sacred Falls Hawke's Bay Guineas, and again, a strong hand held by the team. We've got Melt at the moment as the $2.50 favourite, Sort of Osmond 5, and you've got Madison County. The shortest price runner of your group of horses, Andrew, would it be fair to say that Madison County's clearly the best chance that you have?
Whether he's the best chance in this race, I'm not so sure. I guess the problem with him is he'll go back from that wide draw. He'll be ridden conservatively, and we'll be looking for him to hit the line late. And that's, like I sort of said before, it's not easy to get too far back at Hastings in good fields and think you're just going to round them up. So that'll be his task. He is a very good horse, and he has improved a lot. He's in very good form, I think, at the moment, and he's a horse that's spot on, ready to run a big race.
How happy were you when you look back at that Ruakaka run? I mean, Melt obviously got all the headlines for her display where she charged clear on the rail, but his run having to cover ground more or less against the pattern, how much did that please you?
Yeah, we're very happy with his run. Obviously, to come wide on that day in particular wasn't easy, and he hit the line very solidly. And you're right, Melt did get all favours up on the rail and got a good run through, but she's clearly a very good horse and going to be hard to beat wherever she goes, and there's a few other handy ones in it too.
Where do we put Chigi Express amongst Cardadale and Thomas Aquinas? Chigi's come out.
He's out, yeah, he's out. Wide draw, we just thought he's best to wait. He doesn't need to run.
Okay, Cardadale and Thomas Aquinas, how about those two? How do they present?
Yeah, I think I really like both of them, but I think in a perfect world they'd be running at a mile already. I think the 1400 sort of sticking up in their preparation, just anything like that sharp, are really nice horses if they get any luck in the run. I mean, they'll be right in the finish, I'm sure.
Okay, let's park Hastings for the moment. I know there are a couple of other very good horses that you have there, and we might touch on them at the end, but look, Winks rightly is the long odds-on favourite in the Turnbull. There are various judges that saying that they expect her to win, 95 out of 100 of these if they were run, or even more. She's dominant, she's brilliant, but you have John Snow there, and we know how honest and genuine he is. How happy are you with him, given you've now cast your eye over him?
Really happy. He looks tremendous. He's certainly a very fit horse. Now he's proved a lot with those first couple of runs. I think the 3-week break between runs is going to suit him, just going into this. He's got a little bit on the fresh side, if anything, and I'm very happy with where he's at. So really looking forward to today.
You can see him at Flemington. He's sticking on gamely on the rail in his previous start. How close to fever pitch is he, given his target?
Sorry, just missed that question, Jace.
How close to fever pitch is he? He mustn't be too far away from being sort of bang on. I know this isn't his ultimate target, the Turnbull, but he must be pretty close.
Yeah, I think he is pretty close. Look, he will improve with the run, but we wouldn't be going into it saying that he was a run short. I think he's pretty well ready to go. I think the 2,000 metres suits at the stage of his preparation, and the big track also. Big roomy track. He seems to love Flemington, and they haven't had rain here for a while, which would have been nice, but not much we can do about that. But no, he should be running a very good race today.
How about your filly Peaceful, who lines up in the second race? She was pretty good and very strong when winning at Whanganui before going over there. What's she done between then and now, given that it's, you know, the best part of a month?
Yeah, she had a minor setback at the end last week. She was meant to race, obviously, in the Guineas Prelude last Saturday. She got over that very quickly, so she seems bright. She looks in pretty good order. I guess it's just a matter of how our form stacks up over here. We really don't know how she'll measure up, to be honest. So she gets her chance. I don't think it's a race that looks overly strong on paper. I think they've kept her pretty safe in the markets over here, so that's a positive. And she's really well, so now it's up to her really just to step up and prove that she's good enough to be here.
Zakata and Ribera, what can you tell us about those horses for their respective events?
Zakata's still on the way up. He still looks like he's got improvement in him. Just looking at him yesterday, but he has tightened up a lot off the back of last start. I mean, 2,000 metres at Caulfield was never going to be his go. 2,500 at Flemington is more his go. If he's ever going to step up, he probably needs to show something today. The barrier draw, not ideal, and he's sort of a horse needs to get involved in the race, and I think from out there it's not going to make it easy for him. But yeah, a lot of time to work into it, and hopefully he can show something today. Ribera, she's sort of on an oats path, so again, second up at the mile. We're not too fussed. I mean, as long as she's going a good solid race, if she was sort of midfield and hitting the line, looking like she's ready for further, then that's exactly what we want to see.
Okay, Andrew, thanks very much for your thoughts on your Australian runners. Also, the big team at Hastings, and I know there are some other really good chances there, the likes of Rhinestone Cowboy, Mongolian Marshal, Hinarangi. Out of those three, can you give us any quick leads before we let you go?
Really like Mongolian Marshal. I think up to the mile's perfect, drawn well, should be hard to beat. Hinarangi's working up nicely, just hopefully she gets a good run just off the pace somewhere. A little bit of an awkward draw. Rhinestone Cowboy, I think he's a good grade each way odds. He's a really promising horse. Looking, you know, he's a stayer in the making, so 1,400 may be a bit sharp today, but he's one to follow.
Outstanding. All the best today. Appreciate your time and all the information also that you provide. Andrew Forsman there from Flemington. The Punters Lounge Live continues. We'll be honing back in on the Hawke's Bay and the Livermore. One of the key chances with an unusual preparation is Dan's Dance. Michelle Bradley next. You're watching the Punters Lounge, brought to you with the help of Valachi Downs, and it's time to set you up for the race meeting at Hastings that we've been talking about. Great to get the thoughts of Andrew Forsman. This is what presents, though, conditions-wise on this 10-race program. The track is officially a dead 4, and the running rail is in the true position. Mostly cloudy, light winds, and we're hoping that there won't be any rain. Don't quite have vision through yet, but we'll take you there as soon as we do, because it's always nice to see what it's like at this stage of the morning. Without further ado, Michelle Bradley's kindly picked up her phone to chat about primarily Dan's Dance. How's things, Michelle?
Morning, Jackson. How are you?
Yeah, excellent. Now, tell us about your filly and the prep that for many is unusual, but it's not the first time that you've approached big races by having spaces with a filly like her.
No, I know a lot of people have been questioning the lead up to this race, but we're very happy with her. She's a naturally fit filly. She doesn't take a lot of work. Her race that she won on the 1st of September at Ruakaka, we're very impressed with, and it just showed us how forward she was. So leading into this, we are pretty confident.
Obviously, you know, between Donna Logan, Chris Gibbs, yourself, you've been around the stable for a very long time, and you've seen some high quality fillies Habibi particularly springs to mind, but she's not the only one. Where does she sit at the moment? I know she hasn't won a Group 1 yet. She's going to race in a Group 1 today. Where does she sit in your mind and some of the traits that you see in her that you've seen in others before?
Yeah, since I've been with Donna and Chris and Lake Dean, we have had some really nice fillies come through, like Habibi, as you said, and Rising Romance, and yeah, I mean the list can go on. I see her, you know, she is a very classy filly, and I do put her up there. And no, she hasn't won one of those, you know, a race like those fillies have, but I'm hoping in the very near future that she will do so.
So we saw with that brilliant turn of foot that she showed at Ruakaka that she'd come back from Sydney following the Oaks there pretty well. How has she changed in that time, or has she changed much?
She has actually. The trip over there has done her the world of good. Mentally, she's improved a lot, and we can see that just around home. And we actually saw that on the 1st of September as well. She's growing up. Physically, she is stronger. She's never going to be a big, strong filly. That's just her. But no, definitely mentally, she has matured, which is great.
Has it been a problem-free preparation? Has it been smooth sailing, touching wood, of course?
Yeah, touching wood. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it has to date. Like I said, she's a pretty clean-winded filly. Keeps herself pretty fit. So, no, it has. We've had no problems with her at all. So, yeah, like you said, touching wood, everything keeps going to plan.
What would be your ideal scenario today that leads to a win? She's drawn beautifully, which is a big plus. She didn't always have draws in her 3-year-old year that were necessarily suitable. I know you've got to talk tactics with Chris and no doubt your jockey, but what do you see as being an ideal situation that could lead to Dance winning her first Group 1?
Me personally, she's got a great barrier draw, and yes, we're going to sit down with Danielle and Chris and discuss. But we'll watch the races during the day and see how it patterns out. But ideally, from the barrier draw, I think we'll have her just behind the leaders, really in a nice position, and cross fingers and hope for luck, really. But we'll discuss it during the day. But I think that's roughly where we'll have her roundabout.
What are the confidence levels like? Could you be any happier with the horse that's going to present this afternoon?
I couldn't be any happier with her. She's, you know, we know her pretty well. Riders at home, the staff at home have done a great job, and we're all pretty happy with where she's at this stage. She's looking great. She's nice and bright this morning. No, extremely happy.
Okay, just quickly touching, I know you've got other runners on the program, but one of the best back runners has been Amazing As in the first race. You've got Los Angeles there as well. Just want to quickly get your thoughts on those two runners, and is Amazing As clearly the best chances the market suggests?
I think so. He's come through those races really, really well. His track work rider has said, you know, he's feeling the best he has ever done. So, look, it was a couple of solid efforts, and we think of him quite highly, actually. So, yeah, I think he's going to be a very nice chance in this race.
Yeah, we're just seeing how brilliant he can be, and he made sort of ground 3 off the rail last start and really fought it out. It was a top performance. That's Amazing As in that first race. Okay, Michelle, thanks very much for your time this morning. All the best to you and the team.
Thank you very much. This is an exciting day for all the staff at home and for us as well. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Michelle Bradley there speaking about Dan's Dance. Of course, the favourite for the big dance today, the Livermore Classic, is trained by Team Pittman, Michael Pittman, Matthew Pittman. Her name is Savvy Cope.
To have a $2 favourite in a race of this calibre, I just hope the bookies and the public have got it right. I mean, I was ecstatic after her run the first day, let alone the second day, and she's done everything right. So she's just in her coat and her eyes, she's eating well, she's drinking well. When they take her for a pick, she wants to charge in one direction and they've got to go in the other sort of thing. But she's a really kind little, but she is a little madam as well. You know, good fillies and mares, they've got that little bit of character about them, and she's certainly got that. Yeah. I think with Big Mike in the race they will go along a bit, but I'm not concerned. And it's funny because both Michael McNabb and Chris, who've ridden this horse most of the time, have never ever worried about the fact that she skies ahead on the odd occasion or gets keen. When they're riding it, they don't feel that, but the public and I see it, so I'm not worried about it. She's got speed that not many horses have got. You know, she's proven that. She ran 5th the first day and went the 2nd fastest last 600, never got clear, and then the other day she certainly went the fastest last 600. So I mean, she's got tactical speed that very few horses had, and you know, that's not blowing my own horse's trumpet. That's just a fact. She can really sprint when she can get to the open and get home. And I know John O'Bennett's going to say that Scott base beat us at Auckland and everything like that. To be fair, if you watch the replay of the tape, we were down on our nose at Auckland just after the start, and 5 or 6 jockeys told me they couldn't believe that she picked herself up and finished the race, let alone run 4th and promoted to 3rd. So, you know, I've been asked by other people what's the hardest to beat, and to be honest, I'm not worrying about the others. I'm just concentrating on my horse, and if it's our turn to win, we'll be the horse to beat, you know. If we can win, and I mean, I hope, like we do, obviously, and I hope the punters and that are right, I'm definitely going to the Cox Plate. Yeah.
So Michael Pittman there speaking about Savvy Cope, and yes, if he gets to the Cox Plate, he's going to meet a pretty special horse, a once in a generation, a once in a lifetime horse in Winks, and we'll be talking about her with Ben Ascari on the other side of this when the Punters Lounge Live continues.
I've been on a long road with the devil right beside me.
Bowman hasn't flinched, he's doing it easily, and then came Humidor, Magical and Skyfire across the track at the 300. Winks is ambled up on the outside. Racing Royalty goes to the lead. Racing's Wonder of the World puts up 2 legs, 3 legs. Ventura Storm followed by a sign, but it's all Winks. 5 or 6 legs in front. Look at her go with 100 metres to go. 21 today on the biggest dance floor of them all. Winks by 8 legs. Breathtaking, and it was so easy it was scary.
Every time I knock down, it's a struggle that reminds me.
She is something. Every one of her wins, unbelievable. 27 in a row is the record that she's building alongside the 20 Group 1 wins that she has. So she's aiming up for 28 and 21 today, back at Flemington after winning it dominantly, as you saw a year ago. Ben Ascari is in Melbourne to talk about what's ahead. Ben, what's the weather like firstly, and then we're going to talk about the Great Mare and maybe approaching that race without her. But what's the weather in Melbourne at the moment like?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Another picture-perfect Saturday morning in Melbourne this morning. The clear blue skies and the sun's out. I think we're expecting a top of 22 degrees, so the weather certainly isn't going to be any issue at all at Flemington today. I did have a look at the track report this morning when I got out of bed, and we're on a good fall. There's been plenty of irrigation put on this week, I think 25 mils in total. We all know how well Flemington drains, so plenty of water's been put on. Just a few mils extra just to make sure there's some nice cushion for the Great Mare at headquarters today.
Administrators haven't made it very fun from a quaddie perspective, and that they've left the Turnbull out of the quaddie. We expect Winks to win. How can we approach race number 5 with her out? How do you see the Turnbull playing out?
Oh, look, to be honest, when she's involved, I don't try and overcomplicate things. I just think she'll win, and I tend to just go along and want to watch the race to enjoy her. A bit of a novelty getting to see her at Flemington again, only the second time, and almost certainly the last time we'll see her at Flemington in her career. It's a very good race. We know Grunt should improve sharply back to Flemington. I think the runner-up's likely to come out of Grunt and Kingsville Dream. Grunt had Kingsville Dream's measure in the Makybe Diva Stakes a couple of starts ago, but I think Kingsville Dream will improve up to 2,000 metres. Maybe can settle a little sharper, settle a little closer in the run, I should say. And the other horse that has a chance of filling the multiples looks to be John Snow, who was really good in the Makybe Diva first up, and he'll no doubt appreciate 2,000 metres. But I don't really want to overcomplicate things. I just think Winks will win, and it'll be fantastic to see.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the great mare, and whatever race she lines up in, isn't it? She's a draw card, and you're able to put the form book down for a moment and just enjoy the spectacle and enjoy the sport for what it is. Okay, we'll pick the form book back up for race number 8, the Edward Manifold. There's a lot of New Zealand interest in it. Ribera with Baker Forsman is 80-1, but an expat New Zealander who's been picked up, or is now expat, has been picked up by the Darren Ware stable, Very Elegant, who is the second elect at $3.80. What have you made of what you've seen from Very Elegant, and how does she line up amongst the others in the Edward Manifold to your eye, Ben?
Well, the exposed form in this race, the Australian form, I don't think is very strong for a Group 2 Edward Manifold Stakes. When I looked at the field, I thought, okay, inside draw, John Allen on first up to the Weir stable. This horse is going to have some improvement to come, Very Elegant, which is as much as Darren Weir said. But had a look at her recent gallop with Peaceful State. I thought she was really impressive at Ballarat. And then I went and had a look on the New Zealand Racing website and watched her replays this filly. And it's fair to say I don't think I've ever been more impressed by a couple of efforts in the New Zealand replays I've looked at for some time. Anyway, they were some stunning pieces of work. I'd be surprised if she's in top class. I think she'll measure up here. I'm willing to take the price that she can overcome the fact that she's first up from a spell and probably isn't suited by the inside draw. I think I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on her. I think she could be top class here, Very Elegant.
Everything that she's doing sectionally on the day as well, relative to others, Ben, says that, yeah, she's got a lot ahead of her. How she does it on a quicker track remains to be seen, but look, I saw that track work gallop on Twitter as well, and you know, when you're lining up against a horse like Peaceful State and staying with them and looking to do it comfortably enough, given it is only track work, then I think things bode well for her. We're very excited to see how she goes, that is for sure. To race number 9, and a horse like Invincibella stacks up in the Blazer Stakes. Savatiano, there's a lot of spruiking around it. You've got Bella Martini and Platinum Angel at $6.50 and $9. How did you line up this race for us?
Yeah, well, I'm really keen on Invincibella's chances. I thought she won impressively first up, had absolutely no luck second up, probably should have won the race. And I think she's perfectly suited from a wide draw, third up, Group 2 level against her own sex at Flemington. It just looks a perfect race for her. You know, she's been performing at a really high level for 12 months or so now. She was the Magic Millions Fillies and Mares winner in January. Ran some terrific races in the autumn, won at Group 2 level in the Dane Ripper in Brisbane and ran a big race in Attached Tiara. I suppose the query is, I do a statistics article on racing.com each and every Friday, and punters can jump on and have a look at some of the key statistics for the big meeting each weekend. And there's a statistic floating around for jockey Hugh Bowman, taking the 4 victories at Group 1 level on Winks in the past 2 years in Victoria aside. So discounting those, Hugh Bowman on horses that are starting $5 or shorter, so basically favourites or close to it in the market. In the past 2 years, Hugh is 1 from 40 in Victoria on those horses $5 or shorter in the market. So that's a pretty big statistic, perhaps suggesting that maybe he's got Winks firmly at the forefront of the mind. And Hugh, of course, rides Invincibella as well as Ranier today. So that's a little bit of a concern, but I'm going to back him in. I think the wide draw suits Invincibella perfectly and got her as the one to beat.
It's interesting, those jockey statistics. We've got an odds-on favourite in the Livermore, Chris Johnson, who won the premiership 2 years ago, was actually 5 from 121 this season, so he's not striking well either. So you've got two of the very best in respective jurisdictions having those statistics hang over them. But yeah, they're both on very strong chances. So just to summarise your best bets at Flemington there, Ben?
Yeah, I do like Invincibella in the last race. I like Very Elegant in the Edward Manifold races 9 and 8. Keen to play in the latter races of the program. And for those who want a little bit of value, I think the market's missed a couple of Lindsay Park gallopers in the UCI Stakes, which is race 4 on the program. It's 1,800 metres for the 3-year-olds. It's a traditional Derby lead-up. Going to back a couple of horses each way at the double figures from the Lindsay Park stable. One of them being Sikorsky. Had a bit of a boom on him going into his debut. Disappointed in his first few starts, his son of Piero, but really impressed in maiden grade, admittedly, once he got up to 1,600 metres at Sale last start. I think 1,800 will be even better for him. Was very strong late. Double figures, I think he's over the odds. And the stablemate of Fighting Fury was a complete forgive last start. Pulled up with excuses. The run at Flemington 2 starts ago was pretty good. He's nearly $20 in the market. And I think he'll really appreciate 1,800 metres at Flemington. So we're going to have something each way on both Sikorsky and a Fighting Fury from the Lindsay Park stable at good odds in race 4.
Ben Ascari from Racing.com, form analyst there. You can visit what he, well, you can visit Racing.com and see what he writes, and also watch his clips before the first and other things that can make you plenty of money. Some great insight from Ben. Thanks to him, we switch focus and go interstate from Victoria and now head to New South Wales, and centred around Randwick is the Spring Champion Stakes program brought to you by Moat & Shandon. The track conditions soft. The running rail is out 6 metres from the 1,600 to the winning post and out 4 metres the remainder, and there are expected to be showers throughout this program. It's a 9-race card, betting on the meeting code of 11, and the first race there at 3:15. Brad Gray dissects the action for us. And Brad, getting straight into things, is it quite unsettled, the weather? Great for farmers on the eastern seaboard, but for this race day, what sort of presents?
Yeah, good morning, Jason. You're right. It's hard to begrudge the rain. It's come at a bad time as far as the races go, but we certainly can't begrudge the rain because it is needed by our farmers. We're a heavy 9 at the moment. Just looking outside at the moment, though, it looks pretty clear. So if we don't get any rain on race day, as we know, that track will hold together. It's just when we get rain, once they've already got into it, and it starts to get a little bit unsafe and shifty. But as it stands at the moment, heavy 9, looks like it'll be a pretty good race day. Safe conditions there. There's been plenty of scratchings. I've almost run out of ink with my pen. But, yeah, those tips that I've got at the moment have been unhit at the moment. So hopefully we can still find a few winners on what will be a very wet Randwick track.
Let's start with the Spring Champion. And what did you take out of one of the key lead-ups to the Group 1 today, the Gloaming Stakes?
Yeah, it's of course Thinking Big who won this race. And the thing about this horse is he makes his own luck up on the speed. We know that generally from the stable, Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. He was 8 weeks between runs here as well, so he can only go forward off that. Although he was relatively fit when he did parade in the yard, he can only go forward off that effort. I tried to find something to beat him here, but again, he looks to dictate this field. He's going to get it all his own way out in front. You go back to early in his career, and he did win on a heavy 9 at Canterbury, so he has ticked that box. It's a different kettle of fish, a heavy 9 at Canterbury compared to a heavy 9 at Randwick, but I think that at least gives the indication that he will handle it. If there's one probably to throw in a bit of odds, it is that horse that ran second to him now. I think he's been underrated by the market a little bit. Tarka. The blinkers going the first time. He's an honest little horse. There's not much of him, but he's all heart. And I think if Thinking Big does falter at all there, those concluding stages, he might be the one to nab him on the line. But Thinking Big is the one to beat, and I've got him on top.
Third leg of the quaddy, race at number 8. Very competitive race. Looking forward to seeing Dixie Blossoms. Also, I Am Serious. Are they the two leading chances in that?
Yeah, I think you're right. Dixie Blossoms actually goes for her 3rd straight Hank Stakes, which would be a remarkable performance. Obviously, she's stepping up in the weights, being so well performed this year, carrying 58 kilos. My best bet of the day comes up in this race. This is number 5, I Am Serious. This is a horse that, you look back at its recent form, it's run second to Villiers, two back, and then third to Villiers last start. Not only was it a length from that horse, who we know is a really quality horse running down at Flemington today, but the second horse and the fourth horse actually cornelled the Metrop last week, so the form's rock solid from that race. The drop back from the 2,000 to the 1,600 metres doesn't concern me because it just gives her a really good base, given we're tackling a heavy track here and we know she handles that kind of surface. So 54 kilos on her back, that fitness edge, and James McDonald riding, I think she's the clear best bet of the day, and I expect her to win.
Okay, so there's your best bet. Other bets on the program that we might consider there, Brad?
Yeah, I think we can have something in the Roman Console, which is the other feature of the day for the 3-year-olds. It's race 6. Race 6, number 3, Jonker. He missed the Golden Rose with an elevated temperature, which is never ideal, but if you look back on his run in the run to the Rose, and it was an outstanding effort. He actually accounted for the current favourite in the market, Sandbar, quite easily. He ran along at a good clip and was still there at the finish, only a length away from Lane Mean Machine, and finished alongside Graf. So that's an outstanding reference for this, and we know he handles a heavy track. So if there is a little bit of knock on Sandbar, and he's a bulldog of a horse, it is that heavy track. So I think we can have something on him. He's about $5.50. I think that's now a great price. And one at a bit of odds earlier in the program was race 5, number 5. I tipped this horse last start, but now with the benefit of hindsight, I think I might have run off just a run too early. He should be right now, 4th up at a mile. And if Chris Waller decides to run with this horse, let him run out in front, I think there's a win in him very soon, because that's how he won his races when he was over in France, and he did win on a very heavy track there. So I think he's one to keep up his sleeve. He's about $9, $10 at the moment. So that's race 5, number 5, Instant Daru.
Good stuff. Thank you, Brad. Brad Gray there speaking about some of the key races at Randwick and his better bets. So that's Flemington, Randwick wrapped. We've got a couple of key thoughts from the leading chances for the Livermole. And it's to Hastings we take you next with Bevan Sweeney, Brendan Popwell to go through the 10 races on a big day.
In my review, I'm facing confident. I don't see you. I don't see you. Everybody gotta work it out. Work it out. 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 Everybody gotta work it out. Work it out.
Everything's been prepared, and now it's for the horses and the people to arrive at Hastings to add to what is a spectacular 10-race program. We can take you on track now. Brendan Popwell is hosting the day. Brendan, I know one of your favourite days of the year. No more sleeps. We're here. It's Livermole Day.
Absolutely, Jason. A very good morning to you. Yes, as a proud Bay boy, this is one of the days that all the locals gear up for. And it's a special day on the overall racing calendar, isn't it? Especially with the New Zealand Punter of the Year on course. So much atmosphere, isn't there, Bevan? We get here fairly early, and even the day before, there's always a lot going on. And today, let's hope they have their day in the sun. No sun about at the moment, but it should be a great day of racing.
Yeah, I think the sold out sign is close to going up for the general admission people coming in. So you need to get here, else you might get shut out at the gate. Looking forward to the day. Clearly, I don't think I've seen a horse come into the Livermole with such great preparation runs as Savvy Cope. So she does stand out in the race. The new horses to the race, Dan Zantz, obviously adds a bit of interest. The Guineas on the program. The Red Badge Sprint, since it's been put up to black top, has really grown in popularity and also in quality. So we're in for a great day's racing. You've mentioned the Punters, Punter of the Year on course as well. We've got the elite team here as well. So really looking forward to the day. Should be special. Yep, certainly plenty happening here on course at Hawke's Bay Racing, and it's time now to get out onto the track and get the latest update with you, Aidan Rodley, because you're with the course curator and Richard Fenwick.
Yeah, we're about to join him, Brendan. Yeah, out here on the track, it is overcast here at Hastings today, as you say, but it's quite mild down here. There's just a little bit of a breeze coming over our shoulder as we walk down this track. And of course, this is the straight where they will be bidding for glory in that Group 1 Livermole Classic away for race later on this afternoon, and they will be starting from halfway down the straight as well. Talking about track preparations and how it's come up, we welcome you back into trackside again. Richard, just tell us about the track preparation and how it's gone this week.
Yeah, look, it's been a pretty good week actually. I mean, we only had 1.5 mil about 10 days ago, so we had to irrigate. So Tuesday we put on 15 mils, and we looked at it after that. I think it went out to a dead 5, dead 6 area. And we just left it at that.
Okay, and the rain, it's held off, and I can see those hills. That's what the locals tell us.
Yeah, look, if you can't see those hills, we're going inside. But at the moment, it looks all right. I think if we get through to lunchtime without any showers, then I think we'll be fine.
Okay, the track, just tell us about what the readings come up on and how it's got to that point.
Yeah, so this morning was 2.6, so just into the dead 4 range. We put 2 horses over. They pinged along. They came home in 34.4, and they were going pretty quick. Both riders sort of said it's on that 3 to 4 range. So we left it at a 4 and leave it up to the jockeys in the first. They may well come into a 3.
Okay, just tell us also about the rail position, back in the true position after being out. Was it 3 or 4 metres on the middle day?
Yeah, so it was 3 metres on the second day. We looked at leaving it there or bringing it back in. We had 2 choices. We had a look at it, and there was no real reason why we couldn't bring it back in. It's a good 3 metres on the inside. They only sort of scuffed it on the middle day, but I'm happy where it is, and the readings are telling me it's even all over.
Okay, just in behind your shoulder here, there's a weather station. It's a moisture measure. Can you just tell us a little bit about this contraption and what it's doing for course preparation?
Yeah, so there's 3 tracks in New Zealand which have got them now, and look, it's got 5 points around the track, and it's moisture meter and soil temperature at 100 mil and 300 mil. So it's giving us data on how much water content is in the soil. It's going to take a bit of time to gather that data and work out exactly with irrigation and so on like that how much we should be putting on. But it's early days yet, but it's going to be a valuable tool.
Okay, and so you're measuring moisture in the track at 2 different levels from what I understand?
Yeah, so 100 and 300 mil, which gives you a deep area to for your early irrigation, and then at 100 mil, which gives you the top area as well. All that goes into a computer, and it gives us also an on-site forecast, which is pretty valuable too.
Okay, and the real value won't be now, it'll be once you sort of collated that data in sort of 12 months' time and further down the track.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was speaking to Graham Stiles, who actually has been doing moisture readings for a few years now, and he said it took him a few years to get all the data together and make it a useful tool, so it looks good for the future.
Okay, yeah, we cast our mind back 12 months, and remember, we only got through half a card, but today, everything looking good for a great day's racing.
Yeah, look, yeah, the showers will stay away, I hope so. I mean, we really need them too, and the surface is, I think, in ideal condition. I think they'll probably do in the 1.9s today on a good tempo. So everything looks well.
Yeah, well done on your track preparation. Best of luck for playing it.
Thank you.
Okay, Richard Fenwick joining us here at Hastings. This is the track, boys. Group 1 racing, weight for age, and we've got a massive day. I'm really excited about this. This is one of my favourite days. Sort of come here back from the old sent home days and used to be here just about every year, and it's just been great to be part of the presentation. Can't wait to be doing those interviews for the trackside coverage.
Nice one, Aidan. Thank you for that. And yes, I think he was sent home a couple of times as well after being here at those Hawke's Bay races many years ago. Anyway, right, we'll pass it back to you, Jason, as we gear up for the first of 10 races on the program.
You don't go anywhere. We'll get right into it right now. Race number 1, and Stephen Hunt, you spoke of Amazing As. Any other money?
Yeah, there has been, Jace. It's a decent lead. The fact that they do have the stablemate in Los Angeles in that third line of betting, if I can crunch a few numbers between the two, Amazing As, around about 400 multis in progress, compared to Los Angeles, 22 multis in progress. Single bets, Amazing As holds 4 times more money than Los Angeles at that $3.30 line. Now, that is its opening line. I don't think it's going to start any higher than $3.30, maybe close. We're looking at that $3.290 line. So $3.30 could be potential value come close at around about 30 minutes past 12. Going through a few other runners, High Spirits, very solid, the local in that second line of betting at $4.20. Vitachi, 7 out to 7.50, no friends there. Speaking a little bit on I Tell You One Thing, they backed this runner on the second day. I think it came in around about 7 or 8 points in race 1 on day 2. Again, reinvestment on this runner, I Tell You One Thing, particularly at that $12 price, and also a little bit of speaking around Kamada Lincoln at 17s, but all the action in the word is on the favourite here, Amazing As, $3.30.
Speed map for the first, brought to you with the help of Form Pro ratings, and lookouts from a wide draw, potentially going across with Los Angeles and Iron. You've got I'll Tell You One Thing, who is well drawn to get one of the runs of the race. Amazing As is mapped to sit midfield or maybe back. Brendan Popwell, Bevan Sweeney, how did you dissect the first?
Yeah, well, look, obviously, Bevan, the horse in barrier number 11 is going to work over, isn't it, and look out. We've seen that horse been able to do that. I thought Arshin could possibly play a part in going forward as well, who's drawn in barrier number 2. But yeah, Amazing As, look, he's shown good form on the home track at Ruakaka along with Los Angeles.
Yeah, I thought Rough Cut might go over as well from that outside draw, and just make sure there was okay speed in this particular race. As Jason mentioned, I had Amazing As back in the last half of the field, and with great form coming into it. I don't know a lot about the horse, but I like the Asimov breed as staying types of horses, and you've always got that question mark when they sort of come away from home and go the other way around. But this horse, as we're about to see shortly, has shown a fair bit of quality. But look, High Spirits has been here on day number 1, so I think that's the relevant video to show you, because she was very, very good fresh up. She worked home nicely behind OCDPP, and interesting enough, this day she actually jumped and got on the steel and actually posied up a little bit closer, and then didn't quite finish it off. I think Jason Waddell's a very good booking on this particular mare.
She looks like she's a horse who's getting close enough, and obviously now we get some more distance into the 2200 metres, and look, she's even going to probably, she's obviously going to go further as well as she gets on into her campaign.
Yeah, look, I expected her to finish off a little bit better than this, but the tempo wasn't strong. Centre attention sort of led up under a great ride by the young man, and he just kicked on. She did hit the line nicely as well, so you'd expect her to be well in the market. I didn't quite mark her as short as she is though.
Yep, all right, well, let's go to Amazing As now, who is the next video we want to look at. And also we get a good line here on a Los Angeles, because this is the effort when these two horses met on the 1st of September. Amazing As, look, what I will say is he really has arrived this season with a massive rap out of Ruakaka. He's been probably the one horse that I've spoken about a lot when I've gone to Ruakaka, and he's just starting to put it together his last couple of starts.
Yeah, I love his action. He really wants to find the line. He's got that sort of long gait that you like in your staying horses, and he clearly covers a bit of territory, and he really wanted to find the line there. So a couple of wins on board. Gee, I had to go with the 5 on top BP. I've got a fair bit of time for Commander Lincoln. If you reflect back on Riccarton, they really punted this horse over 2,500 metres, and he duly delivered for them down through that particular carnival. So I like a horse on a quick backup. It went up to the 1,800 metres. It's getting up over the 2,000 metres here this afternoon, 2-2. I think he'll run a race. So I thought he was great value at $17. High Spirits in the mix as well. And look, I tell you, one thing's been too good at the carnival, and on the quick back up into the second day, has a couple of weeks in between runs, I think it'll improve.
All right. I'm pretty keen on Amazing As well. Maybe it's a bit of a roughy Arjun, runner number 7. Third up, 2,200 metres has won both of its starts over this distance. Could lob a very good forward position. It might be one just to try and spice things up for the multiples. Jason?
You'll get the pronunciation of that horse right one of these days as well, Arjun. Thanks, BP. Race number 2, and this is the market for it. And we've got, obviously, the very, very speedy Gift of Power, $2.30. Para Hatter at $5. Stephen Hunt. Is it about Gift of Power this race, or are punters sort of holding back a little bit?
I wouldn't say they're holding back, Jace, but there's an even spread right throughout this this particular race on a number of horses. If there was one decent market mover, it is on the bottom horse, number 9, Vinny's Volley. John Barry always has a horse that tries to stitch up us bookies here in Petone over this carnival, and Vinny's Volley could be that individual. Lightly raced mare. Daughter of Efraj, and look, she's going for 3 on the bounce, so she's rewarded punters in her first 2 starts, and from that gate I think she gets a soft run with a bit of speed outside her. So Vinny's Volley has been the decent market mover. Open double figures when betting commenced on Thursday at $10, Jason. It's now to $7.50, and that's even a move just in the last hour or so. It was trading 8.5 just before we came to air. So look, bigger single bet, $2,000 on Vinny's Volley. Outside that, Gift of Power, we'll start favourite and dominant favourite at $2.30 currently trading. Power Harder, $4.80 out to 5. Stradivarius, De Niro, $6.80 the pair, now trading at $7.50 each of 2. And we go to Vinny's Volley at $7.50. So if there's one to stand out in an even market outside the favourite, it is Vinny's Volley, the local.
And I just hear the tune, It's All About the Map, ringing in my head. This is how it looks with Form Pro and a lot of green. Gift of Power, De Niro, Stradivarius, Vinnie's Volley. You've got Parahata and Barcello there, and really the likes of Awatani and Bella Joy, the only ones that pull back. This is the challenge of the race here, Brendan, I thought, is quite how they'll settle it. It's a race that you can't bet into after 100 metres, unfortunately, but you'd love to.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it, Jason? I mean, with Gift of Power, as we know, she's a horse who loves to try and come across them, but Stradivarius, I mean, he's a horse with Billy Pin aboard that gets weight relief, and we know that how hard he likes to go in front as well. De Niro, yeah, this race is set up for the one that just gets that sweet trip just in behind it, isn't it, behind this pressure?
Yeah, absolutely. My best value on the day is Parahata, because I think it can probably pull out of the speed battle. This is Awapuni now. She just fought Chris on this occasion. I just wonder if they just let her roll, just let her do her thing out in front and see if they can get to her, because he tried to restrain her on this occasion. Then King Cougar had to sit on her back, as Parahata is going to get today, and he was a little bit too good for her on that occasion. There is blazing speed in this race, so there's going to be a few softened up, I feel. So I really like Parahata in the race. This is the performance.
Yeah, Cambridge Breeders, yeah.
Yeah, back at the Cambridge Breeders, and I know it got every favour in the run, but was good enough to take advantage of that, and had been pretty good winning the Pride too. So it took a sit on this occasion on reasonable sort of tempo. I think it can take a sit in behind good strong tempo in today's race. And look, I'm really keen around the $5 about this horse. It took a pretty good horse to run it close to in that particular race day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got Hanger really closing off. As you pointed out, there was good tempo in that race. She was able to take a good spot. What do we take from first up to the races, you know, with her run at Pukekohe coming into today?
Oh, I thought it was a nice performance, fresh up. Like they probably put the mark around this $40,000 race to get here. So you give them one, bring them into today, and look, it'll improve. That's what they do out of the Baker and Forsman team. So I really liked Parahata. Look, Gift of Power is very, very talented. Just don't know if this race sets up nice with all that speed to attack her, but I'll put her in for second. Awatani fresh up will probably be able to sit off the speed. He's pretty tractable, that particular horse, and has been here and won in nice company prior. And then I put in Vinnie's Volley, who's, well, as Jason said, if you knew after 100 metres Vinnie's Volley got there easy with a light weight, then you'd be quite keen to have it a little bit further up your selections. But they will run time in this. It'll be interesting to see exactly what time they cut out.
Yep, yeah, I'm sort of with you, Bevan, as well with Parahata. Just feeling as though, Jason, this horse could take a nice spot, just slotting in behind the pressure, and maybe could be the one they're all looking for late.
Yeah, that's how it's all forecast, isn't it? And you just wonder exactly how it'll pan out, because sometimes you see a ton of speed and a jockey or two decides to stay out of it, and then the horse that leads controls it, and that's that. Anyway, that's race 2. We can talk more about that later. Race number 3 is the Dan Despacito Memorial, and it's over 1,200 metres with Copper Mine at $5.50 now. The outright favourite, $6.50 for Comeback, Divine Love and Pink Graffiti. Look at this race, Stephen Hunt, and find it a real challenge. What has the money said? What has the money told you at this stage?
Well, we've had this race open for just under 24 hours, Jason. Copper Mine Comeback went up equal favourites at $6.20 each of 2. Since then, Comeback has been easy, out to $6.50, where Copper Mine has come into lone favourite at $5.50. It's just as important to inform punters on coal runners, and one of them is definitely Comeback, even though it's had the trial and it's got a nice gate in this particular race. But gee, there's only about $20 invested in this runner at this stage, and from what I can see, there's not too much changing on this particular runner from the Rogerson barn. So just keep an eye on where that price ends up later on this afternoon. Divine Love, out of the Benno Wyndham stable, has been well supported. We accepted a $1,000 bet at $7.50. It's now trading at $7. A bit of specking around another local and Hugo the Boss at $11. And Myrtle, a few friends around this individual, and ICD Gallopo, who in the last 2 times it's been prepped up, it has won first up, and it finds itself in that mode today. Myrtle currently a losing result at $14. So best lead I can give in an open and even market, Copper Mine $6.50 into 5.5.
Okay, that's the money lead. How about the map? And from the map, we'll go to Brendan and Bevan. We've got 5 runners there that map to potentially push forward. I thought that Hugo the Boss and Methuselah certainly runners that would press, and what they do with Copper Mine, we would say that Troy Harris will be asked to be positive, because He's looked very good on occasions when he's allowed to be that. How do you line up Copper Mine here, BP? Because, boy, he's looked really good on occasions, but he's also let the side down. Copper Mine once before. He's looked unbeatable at the trials as well.
He has looked unbeatable. He's tried like an aeroplane, hasn't he? At times, this horse, Copper Mine. Look, he did win from a good gate. Obviously, he won from gate number 1 when he did win, and he jumped on speed when last presented back at Ruakaka on the 30th of June. But look, from what I have seen of him, he can run. So, look, I wouldn't be surprised if they look to push the button and try and cross them here with this horse in Copper Mine. Overall, a race that is tricky, isn't it?
Well, it is. Star quality probably adds to all the interest, because he's a sort of horse that's always sort of shaken himself into the ground fresh up and been really hard to control. The speed map suggested that he wouldn't be in the early rush. I think he'll be right up in the mix, even with Matty Cameron picking up the ride here this afternoon. He can run them along nicely, so that should add a lot of speed into this race. I thought Blonde Lion, gee, it was dominant, so it's more than likely to push forward into a leading position. And Tuzlam, Hugo the Boss, all to push forward. So I really thought there'd be some speed in this race. Look, I've decided to stick with the Peter McCoy runner and Methuselah. I thought that the win fresh up here at Hastings was very, very good. Not far from Les Sablier, second up. So he's got good enough form, been here through the first 2 days to run a race here this afternoon. Look, if there's one man who's going to be trying in this race, it is Leith Innes. This is the Dan Esposito Memorial, so he'll really want to win this particular race. And she was very good 2 starts ago. I know the last start a little bit disappointing, but I'll put Pink Graffiti in. The 3 Copper Mine showed enough to me to be in the mix as well. And then Myrtle, gee, it was good at Woodville fresh up last time. I know it didn't go on with the job, but just keep it safe in your selections.
Yeah, I think you're spot on the mark there around Leith as well, and his wife Jess, a very close friend to the family was Dan, and he certainly will be trying his hardest with Pink Graffiti. And look, it's a good ride too. Look, the horse was working home nicely in the trials most recently. Aroteteko was finishing on at about 5th position and had something to offer as well. Maybe a bit of Pink Graffiti each way, sort of around 750 with bookmakers.
We've got Group 1 racing today. Obviously, it's Livermore Day. We get to see Love Affair and also Tiako Shark, but one of the horses on the undercard presents in race number 4, and there is a suggestion that he is a Group 1 winner in waiting. It's a big call, but Lincoln Falls is 1 from 1. He's created a lot of chat, a buzz around the central districts. He's $1.90 Stephen Hunt. Is it a case of punters climbing on or a few lobbing on to Linkawi?
There's 2 parts to the story, Jason. Lincoln Falls all the rage during the week when betting commenced on, I think it was yesterday afternoon, early stages, Friday on Lincoln Falls. Look, no surprise, we got touched up. I have to say, waved the white flag at Woodville when it debuted a few weeks ago, Lincoln Falls. So punters reinvesting. I think it's a $14 price from memory, and the 2,000 guineas for the son of Dundee, Lincoln Falls. $1.90 from a $1.95 opening line. I see it's always around about 230 on the tote currently. I think it will start odds on in both tote and fixed price, Jace. Saying that, Lankawi is all the rage this morning, got as high as 380 top flux, been backed into $3.40. So punters are really assessing this race as down to a 2-horse war between Lincoln Falls, the 3-year-old, and Lankawi, who's been a touch unlucky on day 1 and 2 of the carnival. Outside that, there's not too much to speak of. A little bit of specking round out of the park at 15s and Sterry Bill at 16s. But yeah, back to the top 2 here, Lincoln Falls, Lankawi. They dominate this market. Around about 95% of total turnover is invested on those 2 runners.
I think a big part of that might be how everyone maps the race. It looks like Lankawi will find the rail in the lead, and I know Fearless is a horse that could go forward, but look, I wouldn't be surprised, BP, to see Lincoln Falls ridden positively to potentially try and find that outside lead position.
Correct. I think you're bang on the mark there, Jason. I think that's the spot they would be looking for with him, with Lincoln Falls. Look, he's created a massive impression, hasn't he? Look, he went into that race at Woodville with one heck of a rap, and as Stephen said, they put the white flag up. Well, I suppose they did open the horse at quite a lucrative price and closed off at $2, and won like a horse that has got so much about him. I mean, this was impressive, wasn't it, Bevan?
Well, he's got it. There's no doubt about that. And like, his head wasn't really let go here either. It's just a couple behind the saddle and then hands and heels. You see his ears pricking. And he could have won by 5 or 6 on this occasion. Look, I think he's got a few growing pains, so I wouldn't be backing him into Riccarton post today. I'm not sure he will get there if you're on at the 35s and sit with your ticket, because I'm not sure he's actually going to head to Riccarton unless he pulls up fantastically out of today. He's done a big job. He's had a ready-to-run preparation as well. Yeah. Big time in through this preparation. He's been in work for a period of time. So
that's a big call, that, because I mean, we could see this horse come out and blow them away and almost be second favourite.
Yeah, well, he could be second favourite in the race. Just what I've heard from the ladder team is they're not 100% sure he'll get there and how far he will go on in this preparation. So today we'll probably tell you more. So if you're on at 35, you're sitting pretty no matter what happens. I'm just not sure if he shortens into 4s that you jump in and clean him up at that sort of price, because he's the sort of horse to me that he could head to the Old Bayer Classic if he wins today, Karaka 3-year-old mile. Those sort of races would really suit him down to the ground. He's got it, and he should be sitting outside Langkawi in theory, and those two should be dominating this race.
Well, let's go to Langkawi now, and this is a horse who's run some good seconds so far, and I know the punt hasn't quite come off with this horse, but he looks the horse who's going to be in front and is going to say to Lincoln Falls, well, look, come and get me and see how good you are. And it could be a battle between these two down the straight.
And it took a good horse to beat him here, and a horse that I understand from reports out of the north is really trained on. Well, she had a crack at the Oaks last season in the Sablier, so you thought she was probably a horse that would get over a bit more ground, and I think she will, but she really got there late in this race, and she's got a fair bit of quality and got across the top of him, and he'll fight all day. So if they do dominate and manage to slow it up, they could set fire at the top of the straight, and it could be one heck of a war. He deserves to be second favourite in the race. Look, I'm going to stick with Lincoln Falls. He'll be my best on the program. I think he's one of the more exciting 3-year-olds coming out of the Central Districts. We had Dijon Bleu out of the ladder stable last season. I think this is who won for this season. Sunate, not far off him, but he's just got a lot of excitement about him. 13 Langkawi, I think Rhinestone Cowboys had a false quote. I think he's quite an exciting type. Then, look, Celtic Rockstar, sectionally, it was an outstanding performance a couple of weeks ago, and I know he's probably going to get fired back the rail, and it makes it difficult, but look, he does have ability, so he's in 4.
Yep. Jason, it's a race where it's race number 4 and it's a special conditions race, but it could play such a key part as well to the Punter of the Year competition, because I'm sure there is a number of punters that are thinking maybe this is a chips all in job on Lincoln Falls, and look, if he is beaten by Langkawi, or if Langkawi's to win the race, it could be a runner that could be well backed as well in the Punter of the Year. I think this is a big race in terms of that competition and the day surrounding it, the 4th on the program.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then you've got horses, or a horse like Rhinestone Cowboy that does have a reputation that might just jump out of the ground, and if the other two do things wrong or don't quite hit the line, could blouse them all. Celtic Rockstar sectionally has been exceptional. The Sacred Falls Hawke's Bay Guineas is the 5th and the first of the black type races on the program, where Melt is the $2.50 favourite from Sword of Osman in Madison County. I noticed, Stephen Hunt, that Sword of Osman has trimmed up.
Yeah, they're going again, punters. They got burnt at Ruakaka when set off speed, and a couple of key gear changes here. The barrier blanket and side winkers added on, Sword of Osman. They come in as soon as betting commenced on Wednesday afternoon. Jason had to be said round Sword of Osman. $5.80 top flight now, $5. Currently holds 2 times more money than the filly and the favourite in Melt. Saying that, I think Melt come close will hold more dollars than any other runner, including Sword of Osman. Her price opened at $2.70. She got as short as $2.40, just eased back out in the last couple of hours this morning to $2.50, but don't get put off. I think she's kind of found her mark around that $2.50, $2.60 line. Madison County from the powerful Baker Forsman stable, $6.50, but definitely looks to be running for us from what I can see on turnover at 6.5. Cernate solid at $12. A couple they have specced in the middle market, and Bobby Dazzler, probably one individual that here in Petone we've underrated at times, and particularly in the Wanganui Guineas, did the business there at longer odds, and again punters reinvesting. Top Flucker 23 now trading 18s around the Marsh Horse and Bobby Dazzler, and a little bit of specking around Star Performance. I believe Bevan doesn't mind this individual, and we'll hear shortly on his thoughts around this runner. Drawn barrier 2, but currently a losing result. And if I can just quickly mention, Jace, going back to race 1, I tell you one thing has been scratched, not too sure of the reasons, but it has come out a 7% deduction, and that's now meaning Amazing As is a $3 flat favourite.
Okay, good information to get live about I tell you one thing, unfortunately, out of race number 1. This is the map, though, for the Hawke's Bay Guineas, and slightly different scenario for Melt, who's had the gun run midfield on the rail at Ruakaka the last 2 starts, and today, Brendan Popplewell, sort of Osman has the rail, and you just expect that they'll be pressing the button, knowing Patrick Bosson with the side winkers on. They'll be go time today.
Look, I think if you got burnt last time to the races, do you go again at 5.5 and or 5.8 and it's now into $5? The answer to that is, look, potentially punters have. And look, he's a hard horse to ignore in the race, isn't he, Bevan, because of, you know, what he showed as a 2-year-old with the way that he won Systema Stakes by controlling that race. Look, let's go to Melt. Of course, this is the race that sort of Osman was disappointing, and he just didn't raise a gallop. He did absolutely nothing in the race. Melt comes up the inside. You've got Arriva Ducci in Madison County, very good out wide.
I just think he likes the rail on his flank. If he gets that this afternoon from the inside gate, you might see a completely different horse. But he was just poor on this occasion, there's no doubt about that. But Melt's good. I thought Madison County was just as good, if not a little bit better in the way it hit the line at Ruakaka. That's pretty tough to do. Melt got all sort of the splits up the inside. Just wonder where she posies up in the race. It's hard not to have her on top in your selections, but look, Sam's going to have to be riding again to secure the right trip to produce her in this particular race to win. She's the benchmark at the present moment. This is Cyber Attack on day number 1. You've got Cavallo Veloce. Kiji Express has come out of the race clearly. And you've also got Sir Nate. He's a horse that's had Group 1 or a Group 1 placing on his CV. He's only had 1 run in this preparation, a quiet trial, and he should get a soft sit in behind them, and he'll appreciate the 1400 metres. But look, she is the benchmark, so she will go on top for me. I've got a feeling sort of Osman will be a different horse this way of going, second up, and he'll find the running rail. So I expect him to run a race. And then look outside of that, Sir Nate and the 5. The interesting runner is right down the bottom of the book. And I didn't expect Lisa to actually play up with Princess Emily. But she was very, very good on day number 2 in her fresh up performance. She comes off a trailing position in behind King Louis. We pick up Star Performance, Cavallo Veloce and Cutter Deal, who are all good in the run to the line, but she was just better. And she had a little bit of head carriage like Dijon Bleu when she got clear, and she never really gathered herself, as Teely said, post-race. And she was very, very good. Look, it's almost impossible for her to win the race from that particular draw, but she really is one to follow out of the race.
No, I think that's not a bad video to look at, is it? Because you've got the likes of King Louis. Star Performance was doing some good things as well. You mentioned a horse who could be slightly forgotten in this race is Sir Nate. You know, as you said, Group 1 place last season. Pretty good run, I thought, just in behind them here, first day of the carnival. You know, you're sort of looking $12, $13, $14.
So, well, look, he had a trial in between times, and he is a lazy horse. He only does what he has to do. So I think at some point in this preparation, the blinkers will go on, and that will sharpen him up the fraction. But he'll love a soft run, and behind him, he'll love to step up to 1400 metres. There's one that I could see, and Stephen mentioned it, getting a really soft run in the race. Star Performance, he's got the man that's won 2 Group 1s aboard. Yes, he may have been slightly disappointing these 2 runs, and I thought he was okay in that particular race. So if he got a real soft one in behind them, he might run into the placings.
Sacred Falls, Hawke's Bay Guineas, a race that always produces a very good winner, and then they go on to do some good things potentially towards Christchurch. And of course, Jason, as we mentioned, we do have the New Zealand punter there, which is a room just next to us right now, and I do understand that some of the punters in there are taking in the punters' lounge.
I assume the sound's on, Brendan. And not music playing. Anyway, race number 6. All the best to all those in the Bay Forward Punter of the Year. Everyone with their own opinions, and that's the great thing about totalisator betting, isn't it? You're playing against your mate, your friend, or I suppose if you're in your team, you're with your team, but then you're playing against everyone else, aren't you? Race number 6, this is how the market stacks up for it. And just a note on, I tell you one thing, a floating issue, unfortunately, has seen her come out of race 1. That's why. Joe's Legacy, 420, Le Sablier, 550, leading roll 650. Money, Stephen?
Interesting race. The best lead I can give here, Jace, is on number 9, Lisa Belair, who did the business when first up on day 2 over a shorter trip. Will love the mile. Top fluck was $6.50 during the week. It's now to $5.50, and it can really challenge favouritism here. V Joe's Legacy, who's currently favourite at $4.20, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lisa Belair starts favourite in this particular race. The rating 65 mile. Van Diamond, who comes off the bench, has been well supported. Double figures on opening 10, now trading at $7. And also a little bit of speaking for Physical Fantasy, who's had the 3 trials leading into this. Frank Ritchie does the training, Lee Thinnis does the riding. Big watch on that runner. Currently a losing result, $9.
Here's the map for race number 6, and the speed to come from the mitigator. There really doesn't look to be a heck of a lot of pressure in the race. It looks the natural leader from an inside barrier, Brendan.
Certainly does for Peter Mackay and Danielle Johnson doing the riding. Look, there's some nice horses in this race. I thought Joe's Legacy is a horse who, potentially can go on to get to a good race. Le Sablier, though, is potentially the same as well, though, Bevan. We saw her get to an Oak. She ran through the Lowland, and this was her win most recently.
Yeah, and she had to be good this day. She had trialled up very, very nicely, hadn't she? So there was a little bit of money around for her and a little bit of chit-chat race day. You can see her down towards the inside. Mike was going to get off that part of running and get between horses. She had to take her gap. She did. That's a good sign. And she got across a horse that we're saying will run very close to a horse we think a lot of in Lincoln Falls. So the suggestion is that she has certainly trained on and she sets up to 1,600 metres here this afternoon. So you'd have to think she's going to be right in the mix. Look, we all look for plots, BP. I think there's a plot afoot here with Londaro for the Larry and Cullen team. He's back into 65. He was very good, only beaten 2 lengths behind Hartley in a rating 72. I know he has to carry top weight. He's up to his favourite trip at the 1,600 metres. I think he's going to be planted outside the leader, and he's been set for this race. It's worth $40,000. Find it hard to see him not running the money, and I'm going to tip him on top, Londaro.
Nice. Won the maiden 1,600, of course, on the meeting that was moved to 2 weeks later in October after the first 5 races were called off, and Londaro won on that occasion. Evans liking it around a $12 quote, Jason?
Yeah, I think the bookies have given their first little jab to trackside form analysts because it's ticked out to $18, Londaro. So if you backed it early, you've got 18 now. You might need to go again. Race number 7, this is how the market stacks up for the Hastings Heart of the Hawke's Bay Mile. $2.10 Mongolian Marshall, $4.60 Hartley, $8.50 Ford. Is it all about Mongolian Marshall here, Steve?
Similar pattern to what we saw on day 2 around Mongolian Marshall, Jason, where almost the price was too good and they wanted to play the patient game. They came very late in the last race, I believe it was, on day 2 around Mongolian Marshall, and it did the business. And just see today, a lot of turnover has come around Mongolian Marshall. It was quite dry during the week. They are willing to back a few around it, in particular Hartley, from a $5.50 line now trading at $4.60. Maybe the gap between the two, knowing that there wasn't too much between them on margins on day 2 was too big. So Hartley's come in almost 1 full point to $5.50 into $4.60. Outside that, there's a little bit of specking around Dark Princess. I suppose he brings a different form line into this, where a lot of these horses were beaten fair and square by Mongolian Marshall and Hartley. So yeah, other than that, it's pretty quiet. A little bit of specking around Fawn, who could be an improver from the Roger James stable, but Mongolian Marshall $2.10. I'm pretty happy with that price. I don't think it's going to start any higher. So if you're wanting to punt it, I'd suggest to punt early rather than later on from day 2.
That's significant information given how short Mongolian Marshall is, but does reflect the reputation, I'm sure, and the performance in itself. It was a top performance from the last time. Sacred Rhythm Heavens keep amongst the leaders. How did you assess this, Brendan?
Yeah, well, it just looks like with Mongolian Marshall that he's going to get a pretty sweet spot, isn't he? And to be honest with you, Matt Cameron was able to lob at him a beautiful spot and gave him every opportunity to come across heels and lengthen out. He gets himself 200 more metres, which is clearly going to be ideal for the horse because he can work up in distances. Little toe in the ground is going to help as well. There's a lot to like about Mongolian Marshall.
No, he has a bit of X factor. There were some runs in the race. Beauty Way's outstanding. I thought Hartley, he was very, very good at a big price, and he's at a reasonable sort of quote here this afternoon, but he just showed that little bit of class late in this race when he really extended, and he actually got there with a bit of ease. So he's a good horse. He's getting up over ground. Beauty Way's been very good. Hartley, a nice run as well. And look out for Duplicity. I think he might go to the New Zealand Cup. That was a good run fresh up, and actually will just take him through the grades. He might be one to follow. So look, I think Mongolian Marshall's the one. You have to put the big circle around him on the reputation and what he did fresh up. $6 Hunter Pence, 4 kilos off. Felix does the training. I think they'll push forward with this horse. Don't forget him. He's got a fair bit of ability, jumped and ran with him at the trials. I think he's a great place price. The 2, Beauty Way was good enough for me in that particular race and didn't have all favours to be in the mix. And Hartley, he's just flying, so he's got to be in the mix as well.
He is flying, yep, and he's a horse who's been nibbled at, as we heard from Stephen Hunt. Yeah, didn't mind Beauty Way as well as a prospect in behind, but you're keen around Mongolian Marshall today, Jason?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people who just want to lump on Mongolian Marshall as well. Lincoln Falls, Mongolian Marshall, two short price commodities. Speaking of which, Savvy Cope, $1.95 compared with an early tote price of $3.20, 10k in the pool, so not insignificant, but you'd expect a lot more than that come race close time. Scott Base at 70, but our Aberdeen at $8.50. Savvy Cope, multis in progress. Do they sort of reflect the price that you have Savvy Cope at the moment, Stephen?
Yeah, roundabout, Jace. There's about 1,200 multis in progress to Savvy Cope. I think that will climb above 1,500 at some stage early on this afternoon around Savvy Cope. And compared to next best and Scott Base in that second line of betting, with just a tad over 200. So, yeah, almost around about 6 times more than the next best in Savvy Cope, and when you're just talking multis in progress. But back to singles betting, Savvy Cope opened at $2.10, now got into the red at $1.95. That happened around about midday yesterday. There's potential that it could go back out to $2, even money at some stage, Jason. So, yeah, if you are playing the patient game around Savvy Cope, that could be an option, because I can see that happening the next few hours. Scott Base, $7.50, now short as $7. Good support around there. Potentially the second best bat runner, well, is the second best bat runner in this market. Our Aberdeen and Dance has been very well supported throughout the week. A little bit cold this morning. Our Aberdeen 9 top fluck now trading $8.50, and Dance 13 into 10. A lot of action the first 24 hours of trading on those two runners. So, yeah, a kind of race that shapes in two markets here. They're liking those 2-4 I mentioned. Outside those runners, it's been very friendless on every other runner. A bit of specking on Big Mike at longer odds, Jace, but all the action on the top 4 in the Group 1 today.
Speed expected to come from Santa Million. Also Authentic Paddy you'd expect will work forward with Big Mike, clearly one of the pace influences. Just how quickly he'll go remains to be seen. Contessa Vanessa might lob in a good position. Could it be Savvy Cope at odds on that just blows them away here, Brendan?
Well, I mean, it's a form line that's hard to ignore, isn't it, from what we've seen through the two legs of the Group 1 so far. They've been the Tarzino when hitting the line, and then, of course, the very good run in the Windsor Park Plate, where she was held off for a fair part of the straight, and then once she found that clear air, she was able to cut that margin down on Melody Bell. So, look, there's some other unluckies in the race. Scott Base never got a clean shot at them. Our Aberdeen's been able to work home from the back of the field, and the 7th up has been good also, but take all of that away, and what Savvy Cope does here late just suggests that she's ready to go.
She's trotting at this point, just ready to sort of burst through, and she gets the split. Chris waited, and she was exceptional late. She really was. She was very good day number 1. Look, only bad luck beats her, I think, unless they set it up and walk, which is hard to see with Big Mike St. Emilion going forward. I'm not sure with Authentic Paddy. I know Trudy Thornton on, good strong rider, might be able to get him there forward. You'd think Contessa Vanessa, Dance hold up a decent position. We talk Big Mike, here he is on day number 2. Paddy just never got there. It was an unusual performance from him. Ryan just couldn't stake him up. Big Mike's in front. 5 to Midnight's come off sort of a 3-back fence position, centre of the track, and he'll get there in the last couple of bounds. Look, I'm not sure 5 to Midnight can win from that draw. He's a much improved horse. I think there's a 2-mile big race in him this season, but this race, I can see him running in the money, but he's not a live winning chance in my mind.
Yeah, he's been a great Cups horse, has 5 to Midnight, but you know, this is a weight for age challenge for the runner as well. But look, he's worked into the race. St. Emilion, look, he did run a very good race in the race last year, didn't he? Before he did win a New Zealand Stakes following that.
Well, I think he's going to have to take a sit today. He's not going to get past Big Mike. My mind, they're just going to try and lead on that horse. So he may. Well, on a lot of occasions, the horse outside the lead controls the tempo, so he may still be in a controlling position if he can get to there. And if he does that, as we've seen in the past, he can keep on grinding to the line, St. Emilion, and run them off the deck from the 600 metre mark and really get them off the nickel. Look, in the race, I had to go with Savvy Cope. I don't think I've seen a horse come into the Liver Mile with the right sort of runs like this horse has in the past, since probably
Princess Cope.
Yeah, Princess Cope. You know, Starcraft came in with the same sort of runs, but got beat by Belmuse. So they're living on top. Dance will posse up, has the draw. I'd like to see it done, you know, that sort of training performance. It'd be really great to see a horse go 1,400 metres and win up over the 2,042nd up. The 7 in the book, Scott Base, I still thought he was slightly disappointing, but we know how good he is, so you can't drop him. And the 8 in the book, Lizzie Lamore, from that gate, if she puts herself there, she'll be a sharp improver. I think she's overs in the race.
She is. She's a dual Group 1 winner, isn't she, at this distance? She's weight for age horse, and she's at a big price. Yeah, look, I'm sort of happy to give a little play towards Dance Dance because, yeah, it is unusual what they've done, but it's not beyond her at the same time with what we saw from her last season. The Livermore Classic, though, Savvy Cope, she's the one to beat, isn't she, Jason?
Yeah, she sure is. And you look through those races, as you have discussed, the best run out of the first two Group 1s. Our Aberdeen was very, very good in both of those as well. OK, we push on to another interest race, the third black type race on the day. It's the Red Badge Spring Sprint. Tiako Shark, $2.90. Love Affair, $3.20. Is it a two-horse race according to the market, Stephen Hunt, and who holds the most money?
Again, there's two halves to speak about in this particular market. Jason, during the week, they were winning to spec a couple in the middle market. One of them was Hugo Foscolo for the Marsh Barn, trading at $9 off a peak of 15. So it's gone up 2 or 3 spots in terms of the ladder. And favouritism line has Hugo Foscolo from a wide gate will go forward and give you a good run for your money, and we know the potential that this horse holds. So at this stage is a losing result and a decent losing result around Hugo Foscolo. The other one was Magnum. We accepted a $1,000 bet on Magnum. In fact, $1,000 each way. One in the final field win, and also the top 3 round Magnum at 17s and now trading at 14s. But a lot of the action today, in particular in the last couple of hours, has been on Tiako Shark and Love Affair, $2.90, $3.20 respectively. And going forward, I think those prices are pretty solid without too much movement as we get closer to race start time. At this stage, Tiako Shark holds around about 2 times more money than Love Affair, but that's only just happened in the last couple of hours.
Now, will it pan out? Where will they beat Tiako Shark and Love Affair? This is the Form Pro ratings map with Hugo Foscolo, the leader from Amarula, and Tiptronic. I think they'll get good runs. You'd expect Magnum will go forward. How did you see things here, Brendan?
Yeah, well, I mean, you'd imagine that Hugo Foscolo, he's going to have to try and put himself in the race from out there. I actually didn't mind Tiptronic. I thought Tiptronic could take a reasonable position in the race. Amarula, I mean, is of course the one that's got the gate and is going to take that real forward running from the bullet. Yeah, Tiako Shark and Love Affair, just how far off do they get? Where do they sort of posse up?
Gee, I imagine Love Affair is ridden very positively today, and I think she can possibly get in the 1-1 with Magnum and Hugo Foscolo going across and leading outside lead, and I thought she should get a positive. Look, this is an exceptional performance because he's picked up a horse who's got a fair bit of quality and dropped her late. So it takes a fair horse to do this, and even at the 200 metre mark, which the horse has just gone past there, Shafiq hasn't really asked. So he's got a big job to do over 200 metres, and he just really got to her. But they have spoken on multiple occasions about when the tracks get firmer and they have to really manage them a bit. So the track is certainly firm here this afternoon, so it's a big job in my mind to pick up Love Affair because she's Group 1 quality. Here she's beating Volpe Veloce. She sort of posed up on this occasion. Matt sort of planted her there. This is on the back of the very disappointing run over the 1,600 metres down at Trentham. So it showed that she'd come back. She went off the scene again, so that was a little bit mind sort of boggling, or scratching rather. But look at her stretch here. And that's a Group 1 sprinter trying to chase you down, and look, she's shown a better turn of foot. So can Tiako Shark stand her 4.5 lengths? 5 lengths is the question mark, and I'll leave that one up to you, but I'll go with Love Affair to beat Tiako Shark.
Baker Fallsman have made that decision as well to have a shot at this race against running last week at Avondale as well. Is there anything else in the mix that we need to think about? I actually didn't mind the South Island horse actually, and boots and all with a good gate. Look, did run third in the Copelands, for instance. There's some good form around some of these other horses in the race.
Well, don't count out the horse, Sam Marula. He'll put himself there, and look, he will always run a race, and he'll be much fitter through that last start win here at Hastings. So he's set for it. He'll run a race. I wondered about War Affair second up. He's a quality horse at best, and will probably be right up with Love Affair and also Tiako Shark at best, if not maybe rated just a little bit higher. So I don't know where he's at. We'll have to look at him in the parade, but if he was fit and ready to go, then I'd give him an each way chance.
So the Group 3 rating, the Red Badge Sprint, and gee, that's going to be a race and a half, Jason, the 9th on the program.
Yeah, one of the highlights, no doubt. Race number 10 is the Bostock New Zealand Spring Carnival finale. Swiss Watch at 3, $5.50 for Hinarangi and $6.50 Irish Flame. Money here, Steve?
All around number 10, Swiss Watch, as soon as betting commenced Thursday afternoon, Jason. $3.40 top fluck. We accepted a $2,000 bet. It's now $3 price and looks set to start one of the warm favourites up and down the program. If they are speaking a couple in the middle market, one of them is Danger D, who, if you break down sectionals, was comparable to Mongolian Marshall, the second 1400 metre winner on day 2. 15 top fluck, now trading 11. And the other one is Cutting Up Rough, 22 when we open, now trading at $14.
This is the map for the last race. Swiss Watch should draw on the inside, could be one of the leaders. We'll see how the track plays by then. It'll be very significant. Look, Form Pro says the track, rather likely tempo is fast. How do you break down the last here, Brendan?
Yeah, well, I mean, Swiss Watch can go forward, no doubt about that. And I thought maybe Hinarangi is the other horse as well who could possibly play a part in that. She's a mare that's very talented, won 3 from 9 as well from the Baker Forsman team. But look, Swiss Watch, sort of, you go back to their Wellington Guineas run, got swamped late, went in front, when beaten by Scott Base. Look, a nice chance. How did you see the last?
Oh, well, I think he's a very good chance. In the race, I was just going to go with Hinirangi. Saw her down at Trentham. I thought she was very, very good. She did cop an injury here in her last start here at Hastings, so she's had a fair bit of time down there at Surrey Farm before going back to Baker's. Big, strong, imposing mare who can sit outside lead and maybe just keep on rocking. Swiss Watch, yes, a lot of reasons for it on its fresh up run. Smoking Oak sectionally on day number 2 was outstanding, but he's disappointed again at Taupo. Maybe that's just a Taupo thing, I'm not sure. Irish Flame is certainly going well enough, so I marked them 16, 7 and 2 in the last on the program. My strategy for the day, my best bet is Lincoln Falls. I've got my fingers crossed that the young Dundeel colt can get the job done nicely there. I think my best value on the program, Paro Hata, and I've got 2 blowouts for you. I like Londaro, and I think Hunter Pence can run a race. As far as the strategy goes, I'm going to have a $50 multi, Lincoln Falls Savvy Cope. I'm going to have a $25 multi, Lincoln Falls to win, Londaro, 100 pence to place, and I'll just have 25 to win on Paro Hata.
Nice. I like that multi you've done there. Gee, that'll pay moonbeams. Right, look, I'm going to go for my best bet today, Mongolian Marshall, who's around 210, 220, somewhere around that mark. And Pink Graffiti is a value chance. Value, because it could be around about $8 and $2. Betting strategy, going to go 10 to win Amazing As in the first and have a little bit on Arjun at 20 a place on that run up, might pay around $5 or $6. Each way Pink Graffiti, and then a multi Mongolian Marshall into Savvy Cope. That's us. We'll leave it with you, Jason. We'll see you just before the first race.
Good stuff. Brendan Popwell, Bevan Sweeney there at Hastings, looking forward to the 10 race card. We've got live racing on the other side of this quick break. We'll be with Greg O'Connor and Mark McNamara at Riccarton, race 1 of 10 there.
You're gonna find out you can't hold me down. You see, I'm the king.
The Punters Lounge Live continues with Valachi Downs, and time to hone in on races 5 through to the end of the card there at Riccarton. We've seen race 1 and an excellent remaining 9 races there. Stephen Hunt, in terms of what's left for us, any additional money leads?
Yeah, for this particular race, Jason, Director's all the rage. Now, this is an interesting runner. About 2 or 3 weeks ago at Riccarton first up, it was quite friendless and still ran second. So basically performed above price or price expectation, you could word it, around Director. It steps up to a mile now, and at $3.20 has been the best back runner and looks set to start favourite over the 1600 metres. Wide Awake, who opened equal favourite Director at $3.40, has been a notable drifter. Wide Awake, $3.80, and could even start $4 plus. Bully Boy looks to be well backed here. Opened at $7 now to $6.50 around Bully Boy for the Ridley stable. Lisa Allpress doing the riding there, one of many good rides for her. And a little bit of speaking for Forged, number 2 in the book, currently $15 and a losing result. Punters suggesting that will peak third up, third up this campaign.
Okay, so this is how the race map shapes for this 5th race at Riccarton. With Forge and Bully Boy sharing the speed, you'd like to think that Director could settle in front of the likes of Richard of York, Fire, Lily and O'Kiwi, therefore get across to quite a nice spot. Ride It Like You Stole It often shows speed. She's too hot to trot as well. We've seen Jason Laking win race number 1, Greg O'Connor. I get the feeling, looking at his book of rides today, that this could be a career reshaping day for Jason. A very important day. Some top rides, not only in this race with Director, but with Tiako racing all throughout he must be fizzing of what's ahead for him.
Had a good chat to him before the first, and he's excited. He's worked very hard to get the weight down, as we heard from Richard Diddham leading into the first, and he's a quality rider. He's already showed that in race one. I think he'll do it with Director. Actually made this the bet of the day, Jason. Very good run first up, well schooled at the trials prior to coming back to New Zealand racing. Things just didn't work out in Australia, surprisingly. I know Brian Court was very keen on taking him over there and thought he'd perform way better. He brought him back for this race, and I thought, well, not this race necessarily, but back to New Zealand racing, I thought he was terrific first up. This was second and behind a Flying Lake Chalice. A really good run. Only would need to reproduce this, and should be just about winning today.
Yeah, that's for sure. Look at him hit the line, and we'll pick up the race call.
In front, Director is flooding home, but too late, and Lake Chalice won the last. Lake Chalice beat Director and Zarista. Fourthly, the Wide Awake, who got going again late or right at...
So a really good performance from Director at the 14 up to the mile here. This is the race that they sponsor as well. Brian Court Auto Express Wash, a new washing opportunity for you, I suppose, with your car here in Christchurch, and it's on your way out to North Canterbury, so make sure you check it out about 5 minutes from the airport. There's a good plug for him, and I reckon Director will win this race. Really hard horse to beat. Wide Awake has to be the biggest threat, others with a chance. Forged, I expect a better performance. I really thought last time it would be ideal. Today definitely will be up to the mile, and on-speed runner. I think Forged is your best roughie in the race, and then you've got the likes of Bully Boy now with Neil Ridley. But best bet of the day for me, Jason, is Director, and I think he'll be winning this.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, I might take the Uber driver through the car wash there, as long as I have a good coffee on the side next time I'm in Christchurch. One of the features on the program is the Inglewood Stud Guineas Trial. $2.40 our Flying Ace, $3.10 Emily Margaret. This is an interesting market, how it's shaping up. Is it all about the one now, Stephen, just looking at how firm it appears with you?
Probably a little bit misleading, Jace, to be honest. $2.40, V310 and 480 and Weka Force, its main rivals. They are willing to back the fillies here, and Emily Margaret and Weka Force, Jason, 310 and 480 respectively. Our Flying Ace, look, it's got supporters. I just wouldn't be surprised if that price of $2.40 and Emily Margaret 310 compress. Whether Emily Margaret comes in or there'll be a drift on our Flying Ace from the Te Akau barn when we get closer to race start time. The horse they don't want in the top four is William James. A lot of punters suggesting they can't find a case where this horse, the son of Ocean Park, could overturn and beat Emily Margaret this time in, where it was beaten fair and square a few weeks ago. So potentially William James could be a decent drifter from the price it's currently trading at $5. So a lot of traction around Emily Margaret and also Weka Force to beat our Flying Ace, not to say our Flying Ace is cold at $2.40.
Okay, that's really good information around the fillies versus the gelded son of Darcy Brana, our Flying Ace. Faisho Sabraj Weka Force. Now, Greg, what will happen with Emily Margaret, do you expect today? We saw her come from behind fresh up. We saw her ridden aggressively to lead and win last time. How did you sort of see her in the map?
I see her going forward, just on that speed map. When it was put together, they wouldn't have known the details about Fire Show. They have suggested they'd like to see this horse ridden in behind, but Emily Margaret was outstanding here. What you need to have a look at, she jumped from the inside draw. It was a really positive ride from Jasmine Force, at least for all press today. She's drawn to the inside of Weka Force again, so I can see the exact tactics adopted in this race here. If you have a look about the 100-metre mark, she actually changes stride quite noticeably and really digs in. She's impressed me immensely in these two runs. There it goes there, and she flattens out again and actually kicks away and beats Weka Force pretty comfortably. I can't see any reason why. I'm with Stephen. I believe that the odds will change here quite considerably. Our Flying Ace was good at Wingatui. It was on a slow track and it was a nice performance, but I think they'll be very close to equal favourites when they jump here. $12 our Flying Ace in the Albesti Equiwheel, 2,000 guineas, and Emily Margaret 16 in the Gavel House, 1,000 guineas. So yeah, interesting in terms of those markets, but today I think Emily Margaret will have the advantage again because of the barrier draw. I expect her to jump, be right on the speed and be hard to beat. I've always been a fan of William James, Jason, but as Stephen quite rightly pointed out, got well and truly beaten by Emily Margaret last time. Coming from behind did Emily Margaret, and yeah, I can see her winning this again.
Certainly going to provide another piece of the puzzle or two for the 2,000 and 1,000 guineas upcoming during Christchurch Casino New Zealand Cup week. Race number 7, another couple of pieces to the Copeland's Bakeries mile puzzle with the prelude here. Rangipo at $2.90, Son of Maher at $3.50 and Flying Sardine at $4.80. Earlier on you gave us a lead about this race and a runner in it, Steve.
Yeah, I'm not going to change what I'm seeing here betting-wise around Son of Maher. It wins according to punters, $4.50. Was top fluck when betting commenced Thursday afternoon. Jace, it's now to $3.50, and that happened yesterday afternoon. So we've held that price at $3.50, but it will challenge favouritism in that top line, which is currently held by Rangipo at $2.90, who's just drifted ever so slightly from $2.80. Flying Sardine, who quite often gets underrated by punters, $4.80, will be running for us, but yep, so one horse affair according to punters. Son of Maher, the good thing at Riccarton today at $3.50 in the prelude.
There you go, great stuff. That's the money lead from Stephen Hunt. Any more to add to that, or what's your take on it, Greg?
Look, I just spoke to Matthew Pittman off air. So what's your best today? He said probably Son of Maher, to be honest. 2 kilos off with Tina Komanahi. There's the speed flag, the groom dynamic likely to go forward. I thought Rangipo would be massively improved off that first up run. He is a Derby winner. He's a $26 chance. And the Copeland's Bakery mile and Jake Bayliss doing the riding today for Tony Pike. Son of Maher with those couple of kilos off. Flag the groom will be on the speed. I wanted to show you last year's Copeland's where Son of Maher was beautifully weighted for this by the Pittmans. Only had about 53, didn't he? Might even be 52.5. Dead heats here with Shadow Cast, but this just reminds you of how good he can be. His first up run Hastings, we have to rule a line there, Jason, because this is how he can go, and he went terrific on this occasion.
Son of Maher, Shadows Cast. Oh, that's very close. Son of Maher, Shadows Cast. There's a slice
occasion, but that just shows you how he races best, and he's only won a couple here at Riccarton Park. When you've won at that Group 2 quality level, then he has to be the horse to beat today. He's got all the class. The track should be perfect for him, and yeah, I expect from the handy draw of Barrier 4 that he'll be really hard to beat. I still went for Rangipo to beat him. Flying Sardine, you're right about her. She is always under the radar, and the other one you have to accord a good chance to is Flag the Groom. I expect Lisa Allpress to be really positive on the Wilson trained runner, and it'll be right amongst the finish too.
Yeah, I was pretty keen on Rangipo. Of course, you're taking him a little bit on trust because he hasn't won since he won the New Zealand Derby, but now that money for Son of Maher, that's a really big lead. The last of the features that we'll preview on the Punters Lounge Live is the 9th on the program, and it's the Waimakariri Businesses North Canterbury Cup. $3.90 Blue Lagoon, $4.40 Centessa, $6.50 The Man. Who Dares wins an Alfie. Need a bit of help here, Stephen, because you know Blue Lagoon got it all her own way. She did it well last time. What's the money telling us?
Well, back on Blue Lagoon, look, she got away with murder, which you touch on, Jace, 2 weeks ago at Riccarton, when she led them up, no challenges, and sprint home, and she did the business, and she was cold that day. I pointed it out on the Punters Lounge that she was a notable, friendless runner. Couldn't write a ticket on her, but she did the business. I think the fluck was 3 out to 4 on that occasion. $3.90 we've put up. She holds that line. There is admirers and people reinvesting who potentially did 2 weeks ago on Blue Lagoon, but the horse they like is the Man who comes out of that race where Blue Lagoon won 2 weeks back. 1,800 on that occasion, steps back over 2,000 metres, and with natural, probably more speed put into this race purely down to more numbers in this particular race. So the Man is the one they wanted to get on earlier during the week. $8.80 was the top fluck. It's now $6 in that third line of betting and shares it with Who Dares Wins. There's one other runner I just want to quickly mention, Larrikin, number 9, $18. If this race was to jump right now, it is a losing result. You look back on its second up form, it's had a win and a placing, and it finds itself in that mode today. Larrikin 18s.
In race number 2 at Hastings, we saw a lot of green in the Form Pro speed map. Here we see a lot of red, which is not an ideal scenario, Greg, although for a jockey, it presents an opportunity to potentially dominate it, much like the jockey of Blue Lagoon did last time, and now it's Jake Bayliss' turn.
Yeah, exactly. This is a hard race to map, isn't it? Who Dares Wins last time, just ridden in behind and probably over-raced as he can do, but I don't doubt for a minute that it'll be very competitive here. There's a whole heap to have a look at here, Jason. Alfie's run I really liked, up to 2,000 metres for the first time today. I spoke to Michael Pittman about that earlier in the week, and he said perfect for her now. She's a strong 7-year-old mare by Ifraj, and she makes up really good ground in this, but Blue Lagoon was was a narrow victor over race rival Opahi Jade here, so this is the form race. There is Who Dares Runs up alongside and just battles the last bit, but as I said, did over race, and Opahi Jade is charged down the outside. The man's right there. Alfie getting through late in the piece in the different colours, of course, of the daffodil colours, but I thought she was great late, and I reckon she's a terrific each-way chance today, Alfie. And when you see my multi, when we put up the way to spend 100 here today, I think she's a terrific place chance at least. Blue Lagoon could only win. It's about a $21 chance in the New Zealand Cup. This is another stepping stone. The North Canterbury Cup won last year by a locally sourced. So Alfie each way for me, ahead of Blue Lagoon. She can only be improved off that run. Who Dares wins because I think if the front is there, that's where Jason Lakey might go. He's already proved successful in that regard today. And the other one you have to consider is the man. He's from the right stable, the Andertons, and just keeps racing great. And Corey Campbell claims the 3, so there's a few ticks there. But Alfie for me on an each-way ticket today.
Okay, Greg, in summary for you, $100 to spend with your best and also best value in there. How did you see the program overall?
I had a play in race number 1, so Dark Poppy's done and dusted. All up, really keen on the chances today of an all up. High Segur in race number 3. They're telling me this horse is exceptional. Has had a look at Riccarton as well, along with stablemate Chella, the 2 in the book. But High Segur, this one out of Pins and Needles, which is the mother of Azavant, which is the mother of Avantage, who won this race last year. So I'm happy to go with the multi there into Alfie for a place. And I reckon Beneficial was a terrific bet in the last race, Jason. Really good run first up. Stakes placed last season. Beneficial for mine to take out the last. Best bet of the day comes up in the form of Director in race number 5, and Odisha is the best value runner of the day. First up for the Pitmans in race number 9. Just hearing through too, there was one horse that slipped. They think it's just a race incident about the 600-metre mark, so they're just going out to have a look at that part of the track, but don't anticipate any problems there, Jason.
Okay, thanks for that information. Here are the pictures of what you've just discussed there, Greg. And you can see a delegation of jockeys, stubbornary stewards and also trainers just checking out the area of the track where it was reported that slip occurred. But thanks for your thoughts there, Greg. We'll be back with you very soon. So, yes, we've had one race at Riccarton Park. We've got another 9. We've got 10 races out of Hastings to come. The big day of racing counters already up to something like 17 or 18. That's what it is. It's an exciting day ahead. Hope you back a winner or 5. That was the Punters Lounge Live today. And next, it's the second from Riccarton and the rest of your big Saturday of racing.